Hello, hello, everyone. Aujourd'hui qui bon, c'est son truc. Tu dans son truc bon, c'est bon de brillante. Tu gens sont brillants, tu gens sont brillants, tu gens sont brillants. Almost Shabbat Shalom. Hello, everyone. Hello. It is summer. It is sunshine all around, sunshine. Sun and sound. The sound of the sun versus the sound of the moon versus the sound of summer versus the sound of winter. Completely different frequencies, right? Almost Shabbat Shalom. I'm surrounded here with a slew, a plethora of bowls, Tibetan bowls. So this is also where I do sessions online, do sessions remotely, do sessions here with a sound bed. So you are interested in finding out really something different. You may have experienced sound, some of you may not have experienced. And if you haven't experienced, all I can say is to be open to something new that you are not familiar with. Because we're all frequency. We all are made of frequencies, energies and frequencies. That's it. So this is the frequency that targets the heart area. When I hold the ball, and when somebody is here and I put the ball on you, then you also feel the vibration. It's not only auditory. So, all right. So I want to share with you today a few things. We are in the beginning of summer. The beginning of summer is really a different feeling. It's a different feeling. It's a feeling of you enjoy. One enjoys the accomplishments or the work, the hermiting, sitting, contemplating, going into deep places. This is the time where we're enjoying our fruits, right? So the title of this of today is when intimidation becomes a passion. And it goes over a lot of areas of relationships and work, which is communication. Everything is communication. So, but I want to talk about how it is relating to the portion today and how it relates to us. And at a later time, I will do a video really about that, how that translates in relationships, and especially when we're talking about relationship to ourselves, our relation. Okay. So this week's portion is Parshat Shelach. Parshat Shelach, actually, send. And this is famous for the This portion is famous because it's also considered, and it's called the spies portion. This is where Moses sends out, for now we'll say spies, he sends out people, actually. He sends people, he says anashim. He sends people to scout Israel before they return to give a report. Just they're in the desert, they're about to enter Israel, but before that he sends 12 people to scout Israel, to see, is Israel what we were told? How is Israel? What's the condition? How's the land condition? How's the people's condition? Everything. Okay, so they go in, the 12 people. Now it says anashim, and it doesn't mean that it's exclusive of women, but those are people that were the head of the tribes, or 12 tribes. So the head of the tribes, so they were respected people. They were very high-ranked people. In the desert, as they were traveling through the desert, there were the tribes, and every tribe had their own leader, had their own spiritual or this or the other leader. So those people that are the presidents of each tribe were sent to Israel, and so they were sent. The language that is used is go to tour, la tour. It's pretty much the same word in Hebrew and in English. Tour is to do what a tourist does. Go and look at the land. All right, what did they do? They came back, and this is what they did. They came back, first of all, they went for 40 days, and then they came back with the fruit of the land. At that time, everything was on steroids. So like a bunch of grapes you had to have two people carrying one bunch of grape. You had two people carry one pomegranate. Or one person would carry one pomegranate. It was too big. Everything was very, very big, right? So, who's this? So there were two people for a bunch of grape. There were one person to hold a pomegranate. Everything was big. Everything was luscious. Everything was yummy. Everything was great. They came back and said, Israel is great. Israel indeed is very ripe. It has good fruit. The land is good, but there are giants. The people are rough one to the other. We saw the sons of the Nephilim. The Nephilim is a subject that rabbis over the years put it in external books. You can read about the Nephilim if you have the Ethiopian Bible, but because that's the many books all the books that were excluded from the Torah for certain reasons are there. But the Nephilim have to do with the aliens that came and mated with earthlings, and has to do also with certain people that have certain blood type that are related to that. So people that are blood type O minus the factor, the minus, that really what counts, what is determining the relation. Anyway, so they described all the horrors of things, why you shouldn't actually go into Israel. So what did they do here? They started with the good. Oh no, Israel is great. We brought grapes. Look, we brought grapes. Now these are people. Let me know, a second, let that go. All right. These are people that are smart. They are the head of the tribes. They are presidents of the tribes. They knew what they're doing. So they also knew the psychology of things, right? They also knew how the psychology mind works. So why did they started with, Israel is great, but then they said, no, Israel, but we're afraid of the people. The people are bad. They're huge. They are giants. We are in their eyes like grasshoppers. We're very small. We're very minuscule. We're nothing. They'll crush us. No, 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 we don't. And then they went to this negative, encouraging everybody not to move to Israel, except for two, Yoshua bin Nun and Caleb ben Yefuneh. So two of those people. So why did they do that? So I'll get to that. So what's the difference between a spy? That's why it's not called the portion of the 12 tourists as they were sent to do. Moses said, go tour the country. What does a tourist do? A tourist comes to a place and looks for the beautiful things in everywhere. Look at how big these grapes are. Look at the mountains, look at the view, look at the energy, look at everything. Everything is so great. Right? It's like when we meet somebody, we can either, this guy stinks, or, oh wow, he speaks really eloquently. I mean, he has a really nice language. We can focus on either side of either aspect of somebody when we meet somebody new, right? So a tourist looks for the good things, looks for the qualities, goes beyond just what the eyes sees. A spy, on the other hand, is looking for the weak points. When a spy goes somewhere, they're looking for a weak point so they can attack, so they can gain for their own thing. They want to gain. It's for me. I want to gain. Also, the tourist is for me. But the spying is really a negative attribute, because it's like going to look for a weak spot. And that's what they did. They brought forward the weak spots of Israel, of the land. And why did they do that? Because they didn't want to lose their power. They were over 40 years, they were in the desert. They weren't 40 years yet. They were in the desert, and in the desert, as they were working with their tribes, they had status. But now, going into Israel, everybody will go to their home, everybody will go to their corner, and so what will happen with us? They were afraid to lose their status. And this is what happens when the ego comes in, and we allow that to become us. So this is how it ties to the title of this talk, of the intimidation becomes your passion. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. But what happened is they were intimidated. They were intimidated by something that they just created in their head. They didn't know that this is what's going to happen. They didn't, they estimated that if they move in and everybody gets dispersed, then they will lose their power, they will lose their status, they will lose everything. So they decided to. Now, they're smart people, so they use psychology. And psychology is pretty much one-on-one. If somebody is a liar and is telling you a lie, if they right away start with a lie, you may not believe them. They may not be as, But if you start with something that is true, oh, look at the fruit, that's a fact, that's a good thing. And then they switch to the lie, many times the person will not know when they switch to the lie. So, because the first thing that they said, the first encounter, the first push was truthful or was true, then they can switch easily and go into the lie, and you will not be able to tell. That goes great with salespeople. Salespeople will come and give you facts. You see, oh yeah, boom, and then they sneak those fingers, right? They sneak those things. So that's what they did. They came. They started with a nice, oh yeah, look how great Israel is, how the grapes are, and then they went into a lie, and they told us lie about Israel. So these two that did not basically play their game, right? Yeshua bin Nun and Caleb ben Yefuneh said, no, if God promised us this land, it'll be fine. If God told us this will be okay, it will be fine. It will be good. Don't fear. Don't let these things. We've been through Pharaoh, guys. We survived Pharaoh. So you're worried now about that. God delivered us from Egypt. So now you're worried about a Nephilim, this. Let's go. It'll be fine. Those are the two actually that survived. What did they survive? They survived the plague. So God said, oh, so you decided to curse the land that I'm giving you, then you will tour in the desert for 40 years before you will go into Israel. And within these 40 years, the generation who sinned against the land will die off, and then their kids will go into Israel. Now, those of you who know Sinai Desert, it's not that big. I mean, it's big, but it's not huge. You know, you can cross from Egypt to go into Israel in a relatively short time, and so this will be like days, right? So as a cause and effect, they stayed in the desert for 40 years, and they went into the land, except for and the other 10 head of tribes that lied about the land, they died along with their family and everything. And Yeshua ben Nun and Caleb ben Yefuneh, they remained. So they took the staff and they went into Israel instead of Moses. That's later on story why Moses didn't go in and so forth. So there is here this thing that sometimes is intimidating us. This is what we can bring to our day to day. Something that is intimidating us, and we're so intimidating, or something that we want it from a place of need. And then over time, as we are focused only on that becomes us. That becomes us. So it becomes a passion. So passion is, we attribute many times passion to positive things. And great, wonderful that there are positive things, but sometimes passion is also in negative things. When somebody is doing something negatively with such a passion, they want to harm somebody, they want to do something to somebody for whatever reason. And they do it so passionately. They want to rob a bank, they want to commit murder, whatever they want. They're doing that diligently and with their passion. They're putting that passion in that act. Okay, so it is not necessarily that they always want to do good. Sometimes they don't want to do bad. Sometimes they want to do not so good, and that is a derivative from their own experience, from their own problems, from their own issues that are happening. They turn it into something that they can use. Sometimes we can take a traumatic experience, and turn it into the positive and turn it into good. Sometimes it is not. Sometimes it still stays trauma and affects every kind of a relationship that we have. Right? So when we are taking something and we are concentrating on it and we are putting all ourselves into it, also intimidation, when we're intimidated from something, can turn into passion. If I'm afraid that I'm going to lose something, I'm going to passionately work on how not to do that. And then many times I mess it up. Sometimes we'll mess it up. Sometimes we'll take something I so don't want to lose that, or so excited on doing something that it becomes all consuming. It consumes everything. I spoke today with a friend earlier that is going through a rough time, and her dad is passing, is almost leaving us in the next very short few days, maybe. And she has a brother, and the brother is a very controlling person, very controlling. And when he's around to help take care of the father, they're taking care of the father, doing like turns. He's becoming very aggressive and very pushy, and handles the father with, because he's so anxious to help and to prove himself, and because he's so wounded, he's doing everything very violently and very aggressively and very almost out of fear. I want to do this, but it's almost out of fear. When you do something out of fear, you're doing something that is that will be harsh, that will come out harsh, right? And so what happened is that he experienced a very rough childhood from his dad, and so now he turns that into as if wanting to help, but the help that he is providing is coming from that fear, from that intimidation. I'm intimidated. I have to prove myself. I have to do everything right. I have to do everything right. That friend is also a client, so it was kind of an interesting work. So the work with that is, and I told her, let him be, let him do. Do not take it personally, because she was taking it personally. It is about her, and she was offended how he was treating her and how he was talking to her. And I can understand, and we can understand that when somebody treats us in a negative way or in a violent way, it's not acceptable. What do you do when it's a family, right? So I told her, let him do what he do. When he comes in, say, oh, he's all yours. Go ahead. He's all yours. Everything is fine. And let him do it how he is, because now you're compartmentalizing. You're compartmentalizing, and you're allowing him to do how he wants to do it. So his intimidation turned into his passion. Not a great turnaround, but maybe hopefully he will come out of it. So back to the portion. Those spies turned their intimidation from losing their power, the ego. They turned that into their passion on how to preserve it at all costs. At all costs, meaning they're willing to let everybody suffer just because they don't want to lose their own stronghold, like a stranglehold, like strangling. I want to introduce you to somebody. I don't know why he just came to mind now. I want you to introduce you to Cam. Oh, where is he? There he is. Cam, how are you doing? Oui. Today is French. Cam from Egypt and he's French. All right, I'll talk to you later. I don't know. Don't ask. He asked to come in. I brought him in. Anyway, let's take not the intimidation to turn it into a passion. Let's take our desires, what we want, and turn them into a passion. Let's turn even what we are afraid of, or we might have been afraid of, or trying to prove something to somebody. Let's take that and turn it around. Why? Because it's all a thought. These are all thoughts. All these thoughts are debilitating us. All these thoughts, all these sorrows or guilt, or these are all thoughts that only we experience. Nobody else. I mean, they're experiencing in their own way, but we're talking about us now. Only we experience that. Let's take these and turn them into a passion of doing something that is good for us, rather than letting that dictate how we are. Our thoughts are not us. These are our thoughts. Okay? Our desires, our wants. Let's take these negative, anything that is negative, and find that, in this particular point, find that weak point to turn that negative or this negative thought into a positive and to enrich our lives so we can enrich others. Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.